Hello everyone, welcome to Mathematics Meal. Mathematics Meal is a special program designed for students that love mathematics. Today on Mathematics Meal we are going to look at salt, and we're going to consider part 1 of salt. We have a lot of aspects of salt, so we have decided to break it down into different parts so that students can understand it easily. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you follow us on Facebook at Mathematics and Science Meal. Alright, in the first part of salt, we are going to consider the meaning of salt and also the different types of salt. That's what we are going to consider in the first part of salt. So just join me in this journey. Stay away from every form of distraction as we begin to look at salt. So the first thing we must look at is what do we mean by salt. So we look at meaning of salt. So we can say that salts are square roots of numbers that cannot be expressed or simplified as whole numbers or irrational numbers. So salts are square roots of numbers that cannot be expressed or simplified into whole numbers or rational numbers. So when you have square roots that cannot be expressed as whole number, those square roots are known as what? Salt. For example, we know that square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, square root of 25 is 5, square root of 144 is 12, and so on. So these numbers, their square roots can be expressed as what? As whole numbers. So they are not salt. But if you have a number whose square root cannot be expressed as whole number, the number is said to be what? Said to be a salt. For example, if we have square root of 2, I know someone wants to say 1. No. Square root of 2 is not 1 because 1 times 1 will not give us what? 2. Square root of 4 is 2 because 2 times 2 will give us what? 4. Square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 will give us what? 9. Square root of 25 is 5 because 5 times 5 is 25. And square root of 144 is 12 because 12 times 12 will give us 144. But square root of 2 is not 1 because 1 times 1 will not give us what? Will not give us 2. So 2 cannot be, the square root of 2 cannot be expressed as a whole number. So we can write the square root of 2 as 1.4142 and so on. That's square root of 2. If you use your calculator, that's what you are going to have. Now you see that this number is not a whole number, and also it's not what? A rational number. Because when we talk about rational numbers are numbers that we either produce a terminating decimal or what? Reoccurring decimal. If we have 1 over 5, we are going to have 0.2. This number is rational because the decimal terminates, it ends. Then if we have 1 over 3, it's 0.3333. This is also rational number because the decimal is reoccurring. So if we have a number that its decimal neither terminates nor reoccur, the number is said to be what? Irrational number. So this particular square root of 2 gives us 1.4142. Other numbers will continue. It did not terminate and it did not reoccur, so it is irrational number. So when we leave these numbers in square root form, we are dealing with what? Salt. We are dealing with salt. So when we leave irrational numbers in square root form, we are dealing with what? Salt. So that's why we say that salts are square root of numbers that cannot be expressed or simplified as whole numbers or rational numbers. So square root of 2 cannot be simplified as a whole number. and it cannot be simplified as what? A rational number. And that's why square root of 2 is a surd. So you see, root 2 is a surd because of what? It cannot be expressed as a whole number, and it cannot be expressed as a rational number. I think that is clear. So whenever we have square roots that cannot be expressed as whole numbers, like this one, and they cannot be expressed as what? Rational numbers, those square roots are said to be what? Are said to be surd. So square root of 2 is a surd because it cannot be expressed as a whole number. Square root of 3 also is a surd. That's 1.732 something something. So square root of 3 is also a surd. So all the square roots that cannot be expressed as whole numbers or as rational numbers are said to be what? Surd. So examples. We have square root of 2. The first one we have written the square root of 3. We have square root of 5, square root of 10, square root of 11, square root of 7. We can also have a whole number and a surd joined together. So we can have 7 root 5. We can have 3 root 2. Then we can also have surd in pairs separated by addition or subtraction sign. For example, I can have 7 minus root 3 as a surd. We can also have root 7 minus root 2. We can also have 5 plus root 11. We can also have root 15 minus 2 root 3, and so on. So we can have this. All these are what? Surds. They are all surds. So whenever you have a square root that cannot be expressed as a whole number, that square root becomes what? A surd. Now the square root terms in surd are known as radicals. Thus, something like root 2, root 3, root 7, root 11, etc. are radicals. They are radicals. So all these are radicals. The square root terms in a surd are referred to as what? As radicals. Now quickly, before we end this episode, we need to look at the 2 major types of surds. So we look at types of surds. Types of surds. Alright. What are the 2 main types of surds? So the 2 main type of surd are monomial surd and binomial surd. So these are the 2 main types of surd, the monomial surd and the what? And the binomial surd. So what do we mean by monomial surd? Monomial surd. So we have monomial surd is a surd that contains only one term. A monomial surd is a surd that contains only one word, only one term. Only one term. So, examples. Examples, you can have root 5, root 7, root 13, 2 root 2, 3 root 7, 5 root 11, etc. All these are monomial surd because they contain just a single word, a single term. A single term. Alright. On the other hand, what do we mean by binomial surd? Binomial surds. Binomial surds is a surd that contains 2 terms separated by either a plus or minus sign. So in binomial sort, we have two terms, and the two terms must be separated by either addition sign or what? Subtraction sign. That's either plus or minus sign. And in a binomial sort, at least one of the terms must contain a radical. So examples, we have 2 plus root 3, we have root 5 plus root 7, we have 7 minus root 11, we have root 11 minus root 2. All these are what? Are binomial sort. We can have 3 root 5 minus 11 root 2, etc. All these are binomial sort. Why are they binomial sort? We have two terms that are separated by what? By addition sign here. We have two terms separated by addition sign, two terms separated by subtraction sign, that's the minus sign. Now, it is important to note that in every binomial sort, at least one of the words of the terms must contain what? A radical. So it's not, if we have something like 3 plus 2, this is not a binomial sort, these are ordinary numbers, we don't have any radical, so it's not a sort. So in a sort, at least one of the terms will contain what? A radical. It's still possible that the two terms can contain what? Radical. Alright, now so far so good. We have been able to define the concept of sort. I believe that we now know the meaning of sort. We have said that a sort is a square root of number that cannot be expressed as a whole number or as what? A rational number. And we say that those square root terms in sort, we refer to them as what? Radicals. We say that sorts can be binomial or monomial. And we say in monomial sort, we just have just one term. And in binomial sorts, we have what? Two terms that are separated by either addition or subtraction word sign. I believe that what we have done so far is very clear. In the next episode, we are going to look at another aspect of sort, where we'll be looking at the basic laws in sort, before we now move on to other aspects of sort, like the basic form of sort, similarity of sort, and addition of sort. Make sure you join us in our next class. Continue to watch our videos and continue to share our videos. Thank you, and God bless you.